I was thinking about this principle of pleasure, or of that sort of hunger that we have to, make and but also consume, and how it's never satisfied, and how in today's world it seemed that hunger, that desire to enjoy, or even command to enjoy, is increasing, and at the same time, the state of the world, the almost constant crisis, and also obviously, what's happening with the way we affect climate and the depletion of resources. And so After Pleasure is a title that sort of has this ambiguous, or it's a bit like a double-edged sword in a sense, because it both describes affect and something that is almost like our engine. So After Pleasure is in a way talking both about the pursuit of pleasure, but also suggesting to try to imagine like a post-pleasure world, which is not really possible, but I like those sort of oxymorons or contradictions, these like impossible logics that through them I am finding logics for construction of objects. All of the works are sort of perched or even clawing the rocks, and are standing in this precarious position, between verticality and horizontality, is a detail that is taken from medieval tombs. You know how often you have the effigy on top of the tomb, which is a statue that is in a way an immortalization of the dead ephemeral body, and you often have the feet sort of arched on top of a pillow or a pet. And I remember seeing it and thinking or wondering about the tension, or the sort of way that the feet is curled over that object. It sort of made me go back to like the basics of sculpture and of making, and almost this like primordial urge to manipulate matter. And so these works for me, sort of holding that tension between death or erosion or decay, or there's sort of this remaining of maybe a disappearing culture or a society, but at the same time I think that there is a very hopeful element in them, and that I think that lies in the playfulness of both the material, because I think sand is this like shifting, playful material that you can manipulate. It's the mythic matter from which we are told to be created, and at the same time it's the material that echoes our mortality or fragility, because it's what we'll become one day. And so I think in this work, which is titled, the tongue-tied title, which goes whole with W, whole with H, whole with W. So it's sort of a mirror. If you look at it written, it's like a mirror title. I like how saying the title is almost like consuming the work. It's like it does something to your mouth that is both awkward and, for me, maybe a bit sensual or even sexual. And holes generally in my work are things that repeat a lot, and often they are those moments of where a few things collapse into one place that is also a non-place because it's a cavity. So it's often like an opening that could be a window, a mouth, eyes, genitals, and in that case, also on the top, you have this pretty direct reference to a colander, but it's handmade, and so there is something for me there with, you know, such a recognizable day-to-day object. So this work, which is titled Tower of Babel, is connected for me to the title of the show, After Pleasure, in the sense that if you think about the myth of the Tower of Babel, this moment where human progression, this ambition to, you know, reach the skies and overcome nature and reach the divine, get to this moment of peak achievement, but then also the collapse of the society and the way that people are unable to communicate with each other anymore. The language are mixed, and in one hand, people, you know, talk about it as maybe like the mythology of the source of diversity, but at the same time, a moment in which this human aspiration become like a hubris, and trying to imagine that sort of impossible world of post-pleasure. I think that the hopeful part is, for me, the moments where the work is showing another possibility, where you have body and architecture and landscape and vegetation and even some sort of insect elements all coming together into one hybridic construction or object.